featuring the NASCAR Winston Racing Series from Jennerstown Speedway. This week's program is brought to you in part by Giant Eagle. If you're not paying the absolute minimum price, you're paying too much. Today's show is also brought to you by Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer. Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline. Giant Auto Parts, your hometown auto parts store with 9 convenient locations to serve you. And by Banquet Frozen Foods, good food that's right on the money.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chase to the Checkered, featuring the NASCAR Winston Racing Series from Jennerstown Speedway. I'm Mike Nelson along with Dave Kohler, and we ask you for just a minute to imagine a race car that weighs 2,600 pounds, rides only a few inches off the pavement, has 13-inch wide racing slicks, and V8 engines putting out over 600 horsepower. Does it sound like something out of a dream? It isn't. It is reality. It's the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour, and they're here, and you'll see them on today's show in a running of the Giant Eagle 150. The number 9 car of Eddie Deont is an example, a reality of what I just stated. Incredible racing machines. This will be the 6th time the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour has run at Jennerstown since we paved in 1987. And David, with this show, there is one driver in particular who will be looking for a good finish tonight.
Reggie Rogerro out of Forestville, Connecticut, who won the very first Tour Modified race in Martinsville back in March, has gone into a horrendous slump through the rest of the racing season. Reggie always runs strong here at Jennerstown. He's looking to dig his way out of that hole.
In addition to the Giant Eagle 150 for the Modifieds on today's show, you'll also see feature highlights from our Beckwith Machinery late models, Giant Auto Parts, Valvoline 4-cylinder, and Banquet Street Stock divisions. We'll be right back with all the racing action right after these messages.
Hello, I'm Mark Thomas. These days, you hear a lot about customer satisfaction when you buy a car or truck. And of course, you want to be absolutely satisfied with the vehicle you buy. At the same time, I'd like to mention dealer satisfaction. Nothing pleases us more at Thomas than to know that our customers are truly pleased and satisfied. It's been that way for 50 years. You'll enjoy doing business at Thomas Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, Cadillac, Subaru, and Geo.
The RV dealer who is so eager to take your money this year may not be as eager to service your RV next year. You won't have to worry about that at Irwin RV. Irwin RV has been on Route 30 for 50 years, so you know we'll be here when you need us. We're your exclusive Fleetwood factory outlet with products like Prowler, the #1 seller for 17 straight years, Jamboree, the #1 seller in 1988, and Pace Aero, the #1 selling Class A. For fantastic value and reliable service, trust Irwin RV.
Even machines this mean can't take on the Caterpillar backhoe loader. Because while they show some speed, we've got some other tricks, like fingertip-controlled hydraulics and a rugged loader bucket. All for a price that makes the Caterpillar backhoe loader awfully tough to beat and surprisingly easy to own.
See Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer in Western Pennsylvania, Northern West Virginia, and Western Maryland.
Interstate 88. You won't find it on the map, but thousands travel it every day. It's the well-deserved nickname for Oldsmobile's 88 Royale. Always at home on the highway with full-size room for 6, plenty of passing power, and a smooth ride that makes the most out of every mile. Factory-to-dealer incentives have already made good deals possible. Now, you also get a $1,000 U.S. savings bond or $500 factory cash back on 88. Take a test drive down Interstate 88 today at your Super Grand Olds Gang dealer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chase to the Checker, the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour machines on the pavement getting ready for the Giant Eagle 150. This is the 6th time the tour has been in Western Pennsylvania since the paving of Jennerstown in 1987. 15 cars locking in through time trials earlier in the evening in those top positions. And in fact, the first 3 rows of the first 6 machines did the luck of the redraw to determine 1 through 6 place positions. Let's go over them. On the point is Donald Satchworley. Outside of him, Jeff Fuller. Back the second row, Tony Hirschman and Mike Iwanisco outside of him. Then it's Doug Heverin and George Kent.
There, race fans, you see a shot of Mike Iwanisco, the West Hempstead, New York driver. Earlier today was married, flew back to Jennerstown Speedway to race this evening. He's going to Jamaica. Will race again Wednesday evening. and back to Jamaica for the rest of his honeymoon.
What a travelogue he's keeping this evening as we get ready for the start out of turn 4. We're green and racing. Down into 1 and 2, taking off on the point with the lead is Donald Satchworley. Right behind him is Jeff Fuller. The Giant Eagle 150 underway. Everybody flying down that back straightaway. These 600 horsepower machines. Here comes Fuller with an early bid. Out of turn 4, side by side with Worley. He's trying to take over the lead, going into 1 and 2, and he takes it over.
Jamie, the Jet Tomato current point leader, starting all the way back in the 18th position, starting to make his move.
Continuing this battle up front, Tony Hirschman, he's trying to get to the outside of Worley. Out of turn 4, now he settles back in behind him. You'd mentioned Tomino, David. There's quite a few drivers that are capable of winning this show in the back of the field.
Rick Fuller in the Chase Brothers, number 77, starting back in the 14th position. Reggie Rogerro, we talked about him in the opening, starting 12th.
The field continues out of turn 4 in the early laps of the Giant Eagle 150. There's Hirschman, and directly behind him on the outside is the newly married number 69 machine with Mike Iwanisco behind the wheel.
Car is battling down the back straightaway. Hirschman and Iwanisco side by side.
This is a great battle for a top spot out of 4. I believe it's for third place position. Iwanisco and the TJ Toyota number 69 trying to make that move around the outside of the Pennsylvania driver Hirschman. They still continue wheel to wheel down the back straightaway. Hirschman, the only Pennsylvania driver, I should say one of 2 Pennsylvania drivers pre-registered for this event, falls back into the 4th place position. Here comes Iwanisco, and he's on the move.
Iwanisco family from the Holsopple area. His dad lived in this area for a long time, moving to New York. He still has a lot of relatives in the area, Mike.
I even think his father raced here at Jennerstown when we used to be a dirt track, and his grandmother's still here, so they come and visit her. It's somewhat of a homecoming for the Iwanisco family from the Long Island area when they come in for a modified tour event at Jennerstown.
I'm sure the family will have loved the opportunity to watch this race on TV. They're probably all in New York having a good time at the reception while Mike's here racing.
Incredible. They flew in nearby and then took a helicopter and jumped off that right over in turn 2, and he's in this field tonight. Down the back straightaway, Iwanisco with a strong third place run at this point in the event. Hirschman was our fast qualifier in this race, but I was talking about it at the start. We pulled pills for the top 6 drivers, and that would determine the fate of their starting positions in the first 3 rows. So Hirschman had to start 4th, and he's currently running 4th.
Tony Hirschman ran this event last year on one set of tires, completely dominated this race. He's out there running very strong right now. Jeff Fuller was very confident going into this race, and he's leading the event.
You brought up an interesting point that I wanted to address. Strategy in this game. Some of these guys, David, are telling me that they can do the whole race without changing tires. Others are saying we want to go in and run hard, pace ourselves, maybe jump into the pits, change for some new sets of tires, get out there, and then try to come from the back of the pack. So that's a strategy to go one way or the other.
Well, the track, Mike, is not very hot. We've had several days here that have been fairly cool, so I'm sure the tire wear will stay minimal, and the drivers may be able to make it on one set of tires.
Another factor that enters into this is that when time trials were run earlier in the day when the sun was out in the track, the whole conditions were different than now with the track cooler in the evening. And the tires that they ran time trials were those the ones they had to start the feature in?
Right. The drivers time trial on the one set of tires, and they have to start the feature event on those same tires they qualified on, as we see a good battle going on here with Mike Iwanisco and Satch Worley.
Iwanisco continues glued to the back bumper of Worley's machine in that battle for second. The Long Island driver, there's another fellow Long Island driver here in the field along with Mike Iwanisco. That is the number 9 of Eddie Deont. He's very fortunate to be with us tonight. He had a near tragic situation 3 weeks ago in competition in a NASCAR modified, and that will be the subject of our first race break.
This race break is brought to you by Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer.
Within these closed quarters, disaster almost struck 3 weeks ago for driver Eddie Deont in the start-finish number 9. Eddie, what happened to you?
A slower car had spun in front of me, and his driver's door was facing me. In other words, he was long ways across the straightaway, and I didn't want to hit him, so I stopped about 3 feet before his car, and the rest of the field came down. We were in the front of the pack, and they crashed into the back of my car, and they actually went right under my bumper and actually crashed into the bars protecting the fuel cell.
This was at a short track up in New England at one of the modified events?
That's right. It was at Riverside Park in Agawam, Massachusetts. One of those bars went right through the fuel cell. And
when the car got under you?
Right. And within seconds, it was a very big fire. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget it. I was a little dazed from the hit from the back, and the first thing I did is unbuckle my belts. But the mistake I made is I didn't fling them off my shoulders, you know. So in a sense, from the sweat and all, they were still like an octopus still on me. And I was struggling. Every time I went to get up, they kind of pulled me back down again. So a few of the other drivers that were already out of their cars came to my rescue, and they literally got small burns trying to get me out. And I did have flames all around me. I got out just in time. It's really a miracle that I can stand here.
It's great to have you back at Jennerstown. This has always been a track that has shown to your liking.
I love this track. I can't wait to get started today. I look forward to coming here.
Eddie Deont, very lucky to be here and excited about running at Jennerstown in a Giant Eagle 150.
This race break has been brought to you by Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer.
It's incredible to think that Eddie Deont was buried in those flames for over 15 seconds and was able to get out of that automobile without any significant harm.
A lot of the race car drivers, Mike, wear the safety apparel, the Nomex uniforms. A lot of the drivers do not wear the Nomex underwear. Eddie Deont is one of those smarter drivers. He wears the Nomex underwear, the Nomex gloves, the Nomex hood, which enabled him to get out of the race car. All the extra protection that these drivers wear give them more valuable seconds in the event that the car would catch fire. They have those valuable seconds to get out of the race car. Eddie was very lucky to be able to climb out of that race car alive.
And it's great that he's back with us here. He had a great finish at Jennerstown in the past. He's finished as high as second in one of these tour events at Jennerstown. One other thing on the safety aspect you talk about, Eddie's one of the few drivers in this division that wears a full-face helmet, and that certainly gave him additional time that he needed to get out of there without any facial burns.
You know, I guess race fans, you're probably thinking, how can a guy get back into a race car after facing that situation? It's probably like getting on a bike. You fall off, you get back on, and you keep on pedaling. These race car drivers do this for a living. They love the race. That's something that they probably fear the most is fire, but you know, it's done and it's over with, and you got to get back in and go racing again.
A credit to East Islip, Long Island's Eddie Deont. As we look at Mighty Mike Stefanik, the defending points leader on the tour in the 15, he continues to run in the top position, but it has been your leader in the number 8, Jeff Fuller, since lap 2 of this Giant Eagle 150, who continues to lead this event, followed by Donald Satchworley in the 4, directly behind him, and Mike Iwanitsko in the 69.
Jeff Fuller has already picked up 2 wins on a NASCAR modified tour at Martinsville and Stafford. In fact, he won 2 races in a row, and he's looking very, very strong here at Jennerstown.
Fuller's kind of he's an emotional type guy. The last time I saw him win down at Martinsville, he jumped out of that car and danced all over the hood, almost fell off and landed on his head on the pavement. He slipped off the hood.
Well, Jeff Fuller and his brother Rick are both very animated drivers, and they like to kid each other while they're on and off the racetrack. I remember a story that Rick told me about brother Jeffrey accidentally stuffed him into the woods at one of the racetracks in Connecticut. He said he looked up and all he could see were trees being bowled over as the car went through the woods, and they laughed about it after the race was over.
Down the back straightaway, we continue with our 3 leaders. In fact, these top 3 positions, they are starting to separate themselves from the rest of the field. It is Iwanitsko. It looks like he's able to do some type of closing in on Satch Worley's number 4 machine, as Worley is having a hard time of holding on to the back bumper of Fuller down the back straightaway.
The drivers not setting themselves up for a real rough pace right now, Mike. Early on, they're going to stay very comfortable with the pace, not overdo it, not wear out their tires and wear out the race cars. We see Mike Stefanik making a move on the front 3 cars.
Stefanik is the one on the move, just drifting up high there in turns 1 and 2. But Mighty Mike has been able to get up through the field, and he's closing in on these top 3 machines. So we'll keep our eyes on the Casella Speed number 15 car.
Mike Stefanik, a 3-time winner on the tour thus far, the 1989 NASCAR Modified Tour champion, looking to repeat that for the 1990 season.
Fuller stretching out a little bit over Worley's number 4 machine. Dave, it looks to me like Worley's having a little, there it goes again. The car's drifting up just a little bit.
Now, we talked earlier about the tires the drivers qualified on having to start the feature event. I'm not sure that the tires are starting to go away. Maybe the handling on the car, the chassis setup is going away on the number 4 Mystic Missile car.
Whatever it is, Iwanisco is closed right in on his back bumper. Dave, there's another guy here I wanted to address. Reggie Rogerro in Forestville, Connecticut in the 44. He's buried in the back of the pack right now. But out of the 5 events we've run so far since 1987 for the NASCAR Modified Tour at Jennerstown, he's been a dominant winner in Victory Lane. In fact, he was the subject of our second race break, and we'll take the opportunity to take a look at that right now.
This race break is brought to you by Giant Auto Parts, your hometown auto parts store, and Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline.
I'm standing with Forestville, Connecticut's favorite son, one of the hot shoes on the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour, Reggie Rogerro. Reggie has had great seasons in the past running on the Modified Tour, but as we mentioned in the opening of the show in 1990, Reggie's had a tough time. He won the first event at Martinsville, and from then on, it's been pretty much downhill. But Jennerstown has always been one of Reggie's favorite tracks. First of all, Reggie, welcome to Jennerstown, and could this be the night you break out of the slump?
Thank you. I hope so. We're coming off a big win last night up in Winchester, New Hampshire. We won a 35-lapper. So the team is, well, on a little bit of a high note. You know, made a long trip with a win under our belt. So we hope today we can start to turn the second half of the season around.
In the past, you were running RE chassis machines, but this is a Sherwood chassis. A little different thing for you this year. And does it take time to dial in a new chassis like this?
This car has been really fast right out of the box. We've ran this car probably 8 times. We have like 4 wins with it on short tracks. It seems like every time we go to a bigger track like this place, something mechanical always breaks in the car, but I hope today we can turn that around.
One of the things you've been able to do at this speedway is run down under that yellow line very close to the inside of this racetrack like no one else has. Is that kind of your secret line around this track?
This, as you know, is a really super smooth, and it's a wide racetrack. There's probably 3 grooves in this racetrack, and you got to make whichever one the car goes the best go. And the lower one over here is somewhat like our little quarter-mile racetracks back home. So I'll use it till its full advantage.
The Reg looking to break out of that slump here in the Giant Eagle 150.
This race break has been brought to you by Giant Auto Parts, your hometown auto parts store, and Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline Motor Oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline Motor Oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
RPM, Racing's Almost Perfect magazine, is the best way to keep up to date on all the latest racing news all year long. Racing's Almost Perfect magazine is available at over 500 locations in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and Maryland. You can also have RPM sent to your home. For subscription information, call 412-824-0888. Remember, if you keep your RPMs up, you will always be ahead of the crowd.
We're back with Green Flag Racing in the Giant Eagle 150. Yet to experience a caution flag. How about that Reggie Rogerro? This year in the 1990 season, they picked up an associate sponsorship with Magnum Oil, and they changed the colors on that car, and had a tough time since it went from its familiar blue and white machine to the bright yellow.
You know, I talked to Reggie in the pits prior to the event, and I said, Reg, you guys are having so many problems. Maybe you ought to change the color of the car, or at least put some blue back in the car. Maybe that'll bring the luck back around to you.
Down the back straightaway, we continue with Jeff Fuller, who took the lead away from Satch Worley at the end of the first lap, going into turn 1 on lap 2. He has continued to lead this event, but look at this in 1 and 2. Mikey Winitsko is no longer threatening the back bumper of Satch Worley in the 4. Meanwhile, the 15 of Mighty Mike Stefanik tries the outside. He's going for 3rd place position. Drifts up high on Iwanitsko, but he's able to take it over. It was Stefanik who was closing in on the top 3 previous to this race break, and he's been able to make the move on Iwanitsko. Now he sets his sights on the 4 of Donald Satch Worley.
20 lap cars in between the Jeff Fuller, number 8, and the Satch Worley car. Will this play part in the event?
While Jeff Fuller tries to run in high, on his back bumper is Mighty Mike Stefanik in the 15.
Off the pace, S.J. Avanson in the 35. It looks like he has a flat right rear tire.
He pulls his car down under the yellow line on the apron around this racing surface. We continue under green flag racing conditions, looking to pick up our leader going through turns 1 and 2. He goes around Eddie Deont. That is Jeff Fuller, the Auburn, Massachusetts driver in the number 8 machine. Giant Eagle 150 out of turn 4. He's distancing himself from Donald Satch Worley, who is trying to get around the 28 machine.
George Brunholzl in the 28, causing a little bit of a traffic jam. Eddie Deont in front of Brunholzl. This could prove interesting.
On the back straightaway, the battle is for second place. Satch Worley right there in second. Mighty Mike Stefanik running third, and Iwanisco in the 69 is running in the 4th place position. Those 3 cars battling out for second place position. Now going to the high side of the 28 is Satch Worley in the 4th. He's bringing Mighty Mike Stefanik right with him, and they're directly behind the 9 of Eddie Deont.
The Fuller machine starting to outdistance the 2nd and 3rd place battle, and we have more lap traffic. Can they make it around Deont's machine?
Satch Worley having problems trying to get around the start-finish production. Black number 9 machine on the back straightaway. He'll have to contend with trying to get around that car. He tries to the outside because Mighty Mike Stefanik's right behind him. Any miscue by Worley in the 4, and Stefanik will be right there. Here comes Mikey Winston. He's trying to make a battle of it on the low side, but he'll have to commit to get around the outside of Deont as well in turns 1 and 2.
Deont finally moving out of the racing groove, allowing Satch Worley to get by. They will be able to close in on the number 8 of Jeff Fuller.
While that's been going on, they've lost some distance of Fuller. Fuller has been threading that needle effectively, and he's been able to separate himself from Satch Worley by about 12 car lengths out there as this torrid battle continues for second.
Iwanisco down underneath of Stefanik.
Can't make the move. Mikey Winston is threatening once again, working on the low side of this race. Continue to go around. He's to the low side of Satch Worley in turns 2. Could this be it? We're door handle to door handle down the back straightaway. It's a battle for second place position, and Stefanik's trying everything he can to try to make the low side move on Worley. Worley drifting up high out of turn 4. Oh, the 69.
Almost 3 wide out of number 4.
Iwanisco trying the low side, not able to do it, and Stefanik gets through it, opens a floodgate. Here comes Iwanisco. He's trying the low side of Worley, not able to do it down the back straightaway.
These cars running awfully close for open wheel. Bumper tag going on out there as Satch Worley hits the back end of Stefanik.
The battle for second place has settled down at this point with Stefanik in that position. Worley continues running in 3rd and 4th place of the 69 of Mikey Winston. We have a new feature this week on Chase to the Checker, David, that you'll be doing each and every week, and that's our mailbox. And we'd like to ask everyone out there if they write into Chase to the Checkered, care of Jennerstown Speedway, RD number 1, box 228, Holsapple, Pennsylvania, 15935. As you see it on the screen there, we'll be glad to look at all the letters. If we answer your question on the show, you'll be getting something from Jennerstown. So why don't we go to your first Chase to the Checker mailbox. Chase to the Checkered mailbox is brought to you by Banquet Frozen Foods. Good food that's right on the money.
Today's question on the mailbox comes from Rosemary Davis of Johnstown, PA. Rosemary asks, after the heat races, how do the race cars get lined up for the feature event? And how is the lineup determined? To answer that question, we have Chief Steward Warren Penrod.
That's a pretty good question, and just to try to summarize it, what we do is we keep track of points every week, and how many appearances you have made at the track, we divide that into your points, and that gives you a point average, and you not low point band starts in pole, high point band will start 12th. Or 11th, with the feature winner from the week before starting 12th. That's basically it every week.
Chase to the Checkered mailbox has been brought to you by We're back. We continue under green flag racing on lap 65 of the Giant Eagle 150 for the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour. Your leader since lap 2 is the red number 8 car, Jeff Fuller. On our screen right now is this battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Here comes Mikey Winston. He's trying the low side on Satch Worley. That's a battle for 3rd, but Iwanisco's boxed in to Wolcott's 48 machine in traffic.
Rhode Island driver Mighty Mike Stefanik closing the gap on Jeff Fuller coming out of 4.
We'll be watching him. He continues to look very strong in this event. Satch Worley holding on to the 3rd place position in the yellow number 4, diving into turns 1 and 2. And it's the TJ Toyota number 69 with Mike Iwanisco aboard, constantly threatening to the back bumper of the 4 machine.
The 69 car that Mike Iwanisco in was the former Flying Brian Ross machine. Ross vacating that ride during the earlier part of the racing season on the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour.
He's making a bid for that position down to the low side of Satch Worley as they drag race down the back straightaway, diving into turns 3 and 4. This is a battle for 3rd place position. Here comes Iwanisco to the low line on the Mystic Missile number 4 machine. They continue side by side going into 1 and 2, and it looks like Iwanisco's going to take over 3rd.
Mike Iwanisco high flying out of turn 2.
Settling into that 3rd place position, he'll try to set his on Stefanik in a 15, currently running 2nd. Satch Worley made a last-ditch effort there, but now starts to fall off Iwanisco's pace by about a car length and a half. There is your leader, the 8 of Jeff Fuller, and to his right, 2nd place runner, Mike Stefanik. Ironically, from the state of Rhode Island, we mentioned that earlier, that's the only state in the whole union without a speedway.
Stefanik started his career in the modifieds back in the 1980 season, picking up his very first feature win in a 100-lap event at the Riverside Park Speedway, beating some of the top competitors in the modifieds, Richie Evans and Jerry Cook, to name a few. Went on and he raced also in the limited sportsman division, was a top competitor. Started running in the NASCAR Modified Tour in the 1987 racing season.
It's funny, the very first race we had here at Jennerstown for the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour in 1987, Stefanik was the pole sitter of that race. Then in 1988, we didn't see him at all, and then, of course, he was back in 89 during his point championship season.
Back to the leader, Jeff Fuller, going down the front straightaway.
Incredibly, Jeff Fuller, since lap 2, has been leading this Giant Eagle 150. And we've talked about it earlier, the strategy game. Fuller has committed without a tire change out there. Will he try to do it the whole distance or not is the big question.
Mike, take a look at Fuller's car, the air dam on the left rear. It looks like the bracket that holds the air spoiler on has come loose and is flapping in the breeze. I don't know if that may create a problem.
That's a tough break. We often talk about racing luck, and this is certainly a piece of bad luck for your leader, Fuller, out of turn 4. And at this point, I'm sure Jeff, he's not aware of the situation. They are in two-way communication, incidentally, with radios, and perhaps his crew chief might be hoping that our officials don't flag him for something like that.
Mike Stefanik closing the gap on Fuller along with Mike Iwanisco.
Fuller has held off the efforts of Satch Worley. Now he has...
There's a spin on the back straightaway, Mike.
Deont spins in the back straightaway on lap 76. That is our first caution of the event. And here comes this strategy game we talked about. Who's going to go into the pits for tires? It should be real interesting.
I'm sure Satch Worley's going to duck into the pits. Early on in the event, we talked that he was having handling problems. I'm sure he's going to want to put on new sneakers.
Here comes Deont. He's able to get going again. And the cars come in the pits. While this goes on, we're going to look at our Beckwith Machinery late model feature run earlier in the evening.
Watch out. A little hot and heavy there going into the pits. Mike Stefanik.
The leaders going into the pits for changes of tires. We'll be back. 26 Beckwith Machinery late models started their Giant Eagle 35-lap feature event with Danny White and Bobby Henry leading the field to the green. Former dirt track ace Henry jumps to the lead, but before one lap is completed, contact is made with Rick Miller's Red 19 and Barry Audie's 75, sending Audie hard into the wall and airborne, while a chain reaction occurs behind, involving Don Wyatt, Larry Burke, Rich Duker, and Tim Bainey. Audie climbed out of his car shaken, but otherwise okay. After things settled down on the restart, Danny White took command of the event over Bobby Henry and Chuck Kennedy. While White continues to lengthen his lead, great racing occurs behind him. Third-place runner Chuck Kennedy found a mirror full of machines bearing down on him. 1/2 lap later, the fight for third saw the black 91 of Chuck Kessler and Ken Horner's blue 16 make contact, slow, and cause a reshuffling of positions. Dave Chelsted was next to challenge Kennedy for third as he completes the pass just when a yellow comes out for a fire under the hood of Dan Viller's machine in turn 3. Back to racing, it's the red 42 of Charlie Cragen and the orange 00 of Steve Pellis on the move as they run third and fifth respectively. Pellis gets by Chelsted for fourth and begins to pressure Cragen for third. As the laps wear down, Cragen's handling starts to go away as Pellis gets by for third.
Second place runner Henry in the 77 also begins to have problems, fading higher on the track, which allows Pellis to get by for second, but with much ground to make up on leader White with only 5 laps remaining. Suddenly, fate plays favor to the orange 00 as a yellow flag comes out for debris on the track. The restart places Pellis on the back bumper of White, and when the green unfolds, Pellis dives under White into the lead and on to victory. White finishes second, while Dave Chelstead, Charlie Cragen, and Glenn Galt rounded out the top 5. It's the newest member of the NASCAR Winston Racing Series under new ownership and management, the Motordrome Speedway, with 4 divisions of asphalt racing excitement every Sunday night, featuring the Keystone Coca-Cola late models, limited late models, 4 cylinders, and street stocks. Gates open at 3 with racing at 6 p.m. Motordrome's easy to find. Take the Smithton exit of I-70 located 1 mile east of the Route 51 I-70 intersection, only 26 miles south of downtown Pittsburgh. That's racing every Sunday night, 6 p.m. at Motordrome Speedway, NASCAR's newest track in the Winston Racing Series.
Even machines this mean can't take on the Caterpillar backhoe loader. Because while they show some speed, we've got some other tricks, like fingertip-controlled hydraulics and a rugged loader bucket. All for a price that makes the Caterpillar backhoe loader awfully tough to beat and surprisingly easy to own.
See Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer in Western Pennsylvania, Northern West Virginia, and Western Maryland.
We're back getting ready for the restart. It is Fuller on the point. He didn't go into the pits. Neither did Iwanisco in 69. They come out of turn 4. We've got the green, and we're racing in the Giant Eagle 150 once again.
Doug Heveron running in a 3rd place. He was another driver that elected not to pit under that caution flag. Let's see if he can make up the ground on a 3rd place car.
Directly behind him is Charlie Rudolph in the 72. The battle is for the point position. Fuller continues down the front lane into turns 1 and 2, and Mike Iwanisco's trying to work over him. Here's Doug Heveron in a Len Bowler number 3. He's working to the low side of the lap traffic. The yellow machine out there, that's Park, who almost hits the wall, and the 72 of Rudolph right behind him. Fuller has a problem, Dave. That spoiler bracket is just flapping there, and he's got to be thinking to himself, if I get a black flag, this could be the end of the bid for the lead for me tonight.
Iwanisco trying the inside. Both of those guys not electing to pit. I can't believe they're pulling away from this field on old tires.
Through turns 3 and 4, right in the middle groove, it continues to be Fuller and a Superior's Processing number 8. Chevy Cavalier modified in turns 1 and 2, directly down below the TJ Toyota number 69. That machine of Mike Iwanisco trying to make that low side pass, can't quite do it. Here comes Doug Heveron.
Tony Hirschman in the number 1 car in the 5th place position. And we got a battle going on for the lead.
Down into 1 and 2. Iwanisco continues to try the low side on Fuller. Here we go out of turn 2. Iwanisco almost into Fuller's machine, settles back in behind him. Dave, you were talking about Hirschman just before that side-by-side action.
Hirschman, one of the first drivers into the pits to change the tires. He has come back out running a strong 5th place position. He's on the move.
And I believe he is the highest position of the drivers out there with fresh tires on, so he could be a real force in the latter part of this Giant Eagle 150.
One driver we have failed to mention thus far, Mike, Reggie Rogerro in the Magnum Oil Teddy Bear Pool number 44. He's on the move. He made a pit stop and put on new rubber.
Rogerro in the first part of this race was really having problems in keeping up with the pack, almost was lapped out there, and so that was a welcome yellow flag for him.
Apparently the tires Rogerro qualified on and started the event not up to his liking, going in and making a change.
The Len Bowler number 3, Doug Heveron behind the wheel of that car, currently runs 3rd. There is your lead battle down the back straightaway. Jeff Fuller in his Superior Processing number 8, and he's followed very closely by Mike Iwanisco, one of the youngest drivers in the field tonight.
Iwanisco picking up a tour win June 27th at Riverhead, New York. He's making the move again on Jeff Fuller.
Tries to work over that left rear quarter panel of Fuller's machine. Mike Iwanisco running out Long Island at Riverhead. That's his home track, that little quarter mile.
Iwanisco, since picking up the 69 Ed Close machine, has really turned his season around. He's really proving his ability on the big half miles as well.
I talked to Mike in the pits earlier in the evening. He had mentioned to me that even though he likes to run on the quarter miles, he adapted to the larger short tracks very well and picked up his first ever tour win on the half mile at Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut. Some of the other Long Island contingent drivers out in this field, Tiger Tom Baldwin, for instance, he hasn't been much on the screen tonight. he's had a tough time on the larger tracks. He was always really dominant in the quarter miles, but for Iwanisco, the young driver out there, he's made a great transition on the torch at some of these bigger tracks.
As he goes down underneath the inside of Jeff Fuller once again, they come up on lap traffic.
Working out of turn 2, I believe that's Larry Moore out in front of your leader, Jeff Fuller down the back straightaway. Moore was the Rookie of the Year last year.
Race fans, don't confuse this Larry Moore with the Larry Moore you see driving on the dirt circuits. Larry Moore in the NASCAR Modified is from the Connecticut area.
The lead 2 machines continue in turns 1 and 2 around Moore's 63. Mike Iwanisco dropping off by about 2 car lengths over Jeff Fuller. Fuller on the point. Here comes Doug Hevron.
Hevron, a very versatile driver in a car that has seen many legends take that car to victory lane.
What can you say about a guy that started driving super modifieds at the age of 16, back when he was known as the young one? Liverpool, New York's Doug Hevron continues to close in on the back bumper. Second place runner Mike Iwanisco. Doug has started at least 4 Daytona 500s and Winston Cup racing that I know about. Here comes Iwanisco. He tries the low line on Fuller's machine in this battle for the lead. Mike Iwanisco trying to make his presence known. Continues to work the low side of this racetrack. That is where that 69 is hooked up. And once again, the 8 of Jeff Fuller holds him off. But Iwanisco doesn't give up. He still keeps working that low line. Now tucks in behind him.
The previous lap, Mike, Iwanisco's car wiggled coming out of turn 2. We'll have to see if his tires are going away.
It's funny you bring that up. I'm so impressed with how hard these guys are driving, still on those same set of tires since the drop of the green in this Giant Eagle 150. Oh, look at that, getting the car sideways out of turn 4.
Oh, Mike Iwanisco just spun the car down the front straightaway.
A dramatic change of
Look
events.
out, we got more cars into the wall.
Still problems out here. George Kent at 21. Something wrong with his machine. Rogerro up there in the 44. Iwanisco able to get underway, and look at that right rear just shedding off that rim.
Another car involved. Mike Stefanik in the 15. Unbelievable. Took out a lot of the top competitors.
With this caution flag out, we'll take a look at some other features we ran earlier in the evening. J. Paul McCracken led the Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinder division out of turn 4 for the start of their Giant Eagle 25-lap feature. McCracken holds on to the early race lead as Jimmy Seeger begins to move through the field from his 8th starting place position. On lap 3, McCracken drops off the lead pace with mechanical failure to bring out the yellow. When the green reappears, it's Marcatone in the lead, but he's soon pressured by Seeger, who takes the top spot away in turns 3 and 4. The white and green 47 of Jimmy Seegers continues on to the checkered. 2nd through 5th were Mark Catone, brother Mike Catone, Bob Moss, and Ron Swecker. The Banquet Street Stock 20-lap Giant Eagle feature saw rookie Rick Chalk take the early race lead before losing the position on the back straight to Anthony Hirsch. As mechanical problems slow the black 74, confusion reigns behind him with Bob Rayleigh, Denny Wingert, and Vince Randisi all getting together out of 4. Wingert hits the inside retaining wall, which ends his efforts. Returning to race action, it's Vince Randisi less passenger side door sheet metal on the move, getting by Mark Cable for 3rd, and then joining a 3-car battle for the lead. 1 lap later, Randisi takes the top spot and goes on for the win. Jeff Dunbar, Ron Delano Jr., Mark Cable, and Mark Roberts rounded out the top 5. We're back to the Giant Eagle 150, getting ready for the restart on lap 101. It is still Jeff Fuller since lap 2 on the point. He will bring these cars around. On his back bumper now is Doug Hevron due to the miscue by Mike Iwanisco. Here they come out of turn 4. The green's on in. We're racing. Down into 1 and 2. And look at Hevron. He tries the low line on Fuller out of turn 2. Fuller closes the door on him. Won't let him have it. Here comes Charlie Rudolph. He has moved up to 3rd place, and Hirschman's right there running in 4th.
Rudolph starting in the 17th position alongside of Jamie Tomeno. Really a benefactor of that accident.
He continues in that 3rd place position. Doug Hevron has not changed his tires. He's one of those drivers trying to go all the way on the same set of rubbers as well as your leader, Fuller.
We talked about Mike Iwanisco and Fuller not changing their tires. We saw what happened to Iwanisco. Hopefully this won't unfold for the front-running cars.
Charlie Rudolph is another driver out there that's running on the same set of tires. And look at Hevron, the Liverpool, New York driver in that blue number 3 machine, continues to try the low side on Jeff Fuller's 8. That has been the place where the 2nd place car has been trying to make moves all night on Jeff Fuller. And this is the 3rd driver he's holding off. There's Jamie the Jet Tomeno out there in the U2.
Tony Hirschman like a caged animal waiting to get released, trying to get around the Rudolph machine.
He continues his high-flying pace, currently running in fourth. Rudolph in third. Second is Doug Heveron, and the man on the point is Jeff Fuller. There's a good shot of Hirschman as he continues to plaster that back bumper, the 72 of Rudolph.
Tony Hirschman was the Race of Champions qualifier for Jennerstown Speedway in the 1989 season. Went on to win the 1989 Race of Champions at the Pocono International Speedway.
And we should mention that this show is a qualifying event for that. You get a guaranteed starting place position. And look at Mike Iwanisco. He's come up through this field. I thought he might be done after that spin. He did keep it off the wall, but a quick tire change to the right rear, and he's on the move with fresh tires.
Gobbling up the asphalt, Mike Iwanisco making the charge to the front. Let's see if he can catch those top-running cars.
The latter third of this event is starting to look like a shootout. We have 6 cars that have closed up to the back bumper of Jeff Fuller in the 8 machine. So it's incredible here at Jennerstown. It seems like these guys all start to close right in when it comes time for the checker.
Bumper tag going on out there as Jamie the Jet Tomeno got into the back end of Tom Bowles in the 76 machine.
Those cars currently running 5th and 6th. Bowles in 5th, Tomeno in 6th place position. I get a kick out of Doug Heveron, who's currently running in 2nd. If you look at one of the race programs, modified tour programs, or many of publications across the country, Doug lists his favorite tracks as Daytona International Speedway, the 2.5-mile super speedway, and Jennerstown side by side. That puts us in good company, doesn't it?
Says a lot for the competitor. He loves fast race cars. He also drives one of the Wing Super Modifieds capable of speeds over 160 mile an hour on the straightaways at Jennerstown. 900 horsepower race cars.
Continuing down the back straightaway in this battle, the top 6 machines all fighting it out, hoping for an opportunity to visit victory lane. But since lap 2, it has been Auburn, Massachusetts, Jeff Fuller, and a Superior Processing number 8 Chevy Cavalier out on the point, and he continues to hold off the 3 of Doug Heveron.
Tom Bowles getting a little sideways out of turn 2. Poor Reggie Rogerro, that guy, his bad luck continues. The car, you can see it coming around sparking occasionally. Apparently they have suspension damage from that accident.
Going back through the field, there's Mike Iwanisco. He's on the back bumper of fellow Long Island competitor, the black New York 7 machine out of Bellport, Long Island, New York. That's Tiger Tom Baldwin just in front of him.
Coming down the front straightaway, a bid for the lead, Doug Heveron.
Heveron trying the low side again on Fuller. Can't quite do it. He gets the nose of that car under Fuller, and he's not able to make the pass. Dave, there's a gentleman agreement among racers. I've talked to them that if you cannot get the nose of your car up to the A post or driver's post on that machine, that you really don't own the right to hold that line, and the lead car can close down on you. But if that car's able to do that, then you have to give them that racing room.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens on the last lap for gentlemen's agreement. If it comes down to the battle of the checkered flag, I'm sure all the gentlemen agreements go out the window, Mike.
Bumper tag annex in the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour here in the Jennerstown Speedway in Western Pennsylvania with the Giant Eagle 150, and the clock is ticking down near the end of this event.
Oh, we have a spin in turn 4. Eddie Deont again.
Deont, second yellow that he's brought out, and oh my, yeah, I'm rather shocked by this because, like we'd mentioned early in the show, he's had some of his best ever tour. His best ever tour finished in 2nd right here at Jennerstown. It's just not been his night.
I wasn't watching in turn 4. I was keeping an eye on the leaders, and I did not see what caused Deont to spin.
We'll be getting ready with a quick restart on lap 118. Your leader is Jeff Fuller, followed by Doug Heveron, Charlie Rudolph, Tony Hirschman, and Tom Bowles, your top 5 machines. It's up to Fuller. Once he mashes on that throttle, you can see the light reflecting off that bracket that's broken on that rear spoiler. And it'll be up to him to bring them around and command this orchestra of horsepower. Each one of these machines sporting as much as 600-plus horsepower out of turn 4. We get ready for the green, and we're racing once again. Sparks coming off Rogerro's 44, as you mentioned before, David. Everybody getting through 1 and 2 cleanly. And look at Fuller. He's really stretching it out over Heveron. Newfound life. Maybe the tires cooling off might be to his advantage.
That's amazing, running this many. Oh, no! Look out!
In 3 and 4. And we're still not done, David.
Cars piling up in turn 4. Oh, no! 3, 4, 5. Rick Fuller, Satch Worley, Tony Ferrante, Bob Park, they're all piled up in the turn 4.
What a dramatic change of events. This time the culprit is Fuller in the 8. He's able to limp back onto the racing surface. Oh, look at the right front tire. He's done, David.
I believe the right rear went flat, which precipitated that spin. The car's getting into him, causing the right front suspension damage. What a tough break.
Once leading this event from lap 2 on, now heading to the pits is Jeff Fuller, and we'll be back right after this.
North Star Auto Parts specializes in late model salvage for American and foreign cars and trucks. Our large selection of economical and dependable used parts is monitored by computer to give you fast and accurate price quotes. Our national parts search program puts the inventory of the entire country at our fingertips. If it's available, we'll find it. We offer a 100-day warranty on all late model drivetrain components and free delivery to businesses in a 10-county area. For quality used parts with state-of-the-art service, it's North Star Auto Parts.
RPM, Racing's Almost Perfect magazine, is the best way to keep up to date on all the latest racing news all year long. Racing's Almost Perfect magazine is available at over 500 locations in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and Maryland. You can also have RPM sent to your home. For subscription information, call 412-824-0888. Remember, if you keep your RPMs up, you will always be ahead of the crowd.
Welcome back to Chase to the Checkered. If you just joined us, we're in the latter stages of the Giant Eagle 150 for the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour. Doug Heveron on the point. It's up to him to bring him around out of 4. And Bowles, we're racing, David, despite that little miscue by Bowles in the 76. Heveron on the point is one of the few cars out there remaining who has not had a pit stop all race long. He now has a lead. We saw Fuller just before...
Tom Bowles is out there really driving into the corners, hitting just about everything in sight.
He goes up to second place position. He has won his only tour race in his career here at Jennerstown Speedway, and it's looking good for him right now, running second. Just before that incident, I was talking about Heveron as one of those drivers who has not made a pit stop, and Fuller before him blew a right rear tire. It might be a problem that Heveron would be concerned about at this point in the event.
This event shades of the Busch Grand National Tour event when Jamie Obey led nearly the entire event, coming out of turn 4, lost the lead when he spun the car. Same thing with Jeff Fuller. We'll have to see if Heveron can hang on to this lead.
Down the front straightaway, it's still a freight train of automobiles battling for the lead. Look at Bowles in second place. He tries to work the low line of Heveron into number 3. Here comes Tony Hirschman. He has now moved up to the 3rd place position, and directly behind him, it's the current points leader in the U2 machine, Jamie the Jet Tomano from New Jersey. He works the low side of Hirschman in that battle for 3rd.
Charlie Rudolph in the 72 machine, who restarted in a 2nd place position, has been drop-kicked all the way back to 5th.
This is his rookie season on the tour. He spent quite a bit of time on the dirt with dirt modifieds.
Charlie Rudolph, a former dirt modified champion, he also has Winston Cup experience. He ran at Pocono, one of his best finishes at Pocono, a 13th place finish.
Incredible as he continues his rookie season running in the 5th place position. All eyes are turned to the 3 of Doug Heveron, your leader, as Tom Bowles in 2nd place position finds everybody closing up on him. And did I see the red car, Mikey Winisco, David, all the way up through this field? Is he threatening to come back?
He's making the charge.
These 2 guys, Tom Baldwin and Mikey Winisco, they are right there. We're getting down to another Jennerstown Classic shootout in this Giant Eagle 150 for the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour. Everybody going around George Kent, a disappointment for the Duke in the number 21. He's normally a very strong runner out there.
You know, Mike, I got to ask you, I wonder where these drivers come up with the nicknames. We've had more nicknames in this race, I think, than we've had race cars.
The Modified Tour, a colorful amount of personality in the tour. And like you said, the Jet, the Duke, we've got them all out there. Tiger, Tom Bob.
Oh, we got a problem. Almost a crash.
Wow. Near disaster on the front straightaway. David, I don't know, was that Bowles and Hirschman that got together and then put one of the cars into the wall in a shower of sparks?
That's what it looked like to me, Mike. It looked like they came together in the 76 of Tom Bowles bumping the outside retaining wall.
You know, at that point in the track on the lap before that happened, that was at the fastest part of the racetrack. These open-wheel cars at about 130, 135 mile an hour in a straightaway there, that just that was an incredible job of both drivers keeping under green flag conditions.
I'm sure his eyes were as big as saucers as we see Mike Iwanisco again making the move.
I think we'll have to keep our eyes on this man, a newly married gentleman behind the wheel of the 69. Just a few hours ago, he was cutting the cake with his wife at their wedding, and now he's out there high-flying on the tour, directly behind the back bumper of Jamie the Jet Tomeno. Down into 1 and 2, it continues to be Hebron on the point. Tom Bowles now looks like he's able to collect things up and is closed in on the back bumper of the Len Bowler number 3 machine.
Several of these competitors in the modifieds ran last night at their local tracks. Tom Bowles, one of them, winning an SK modified event in the Connecticut area, flying all the way down to Jennerstown to hop in his NASCAR modified.
He'd love to be able to capture a checker here tonight in the Giant Eagle 150. That's a family-owned racing team out there. They're unsponsored at this point on a shoestring effort. Here comes Iwanisco on the outside of Tomeno. And look at Mike Iwanisco high-flying on the outside. Dave, I bet you he'd like to take that checker on a honeymoon.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, lovely wife Debbie, she's sitting in the grandstands keeping score of Mike's racing activities. I'm sure she'd like him to pick up the first place check money so they can make that trip to Jamaica.
Down the front straightaway, we continue this battle with the lead. Mike Iwanisco is the man closing in on the top 3 running machines. And there is your leader in the blue number 3, Liverpool, New York's Doug Hebron, high flying, diving into turns 3 and 4. There is the one of Tony Hirschman, and on his back bumper, he's knocking on the door. It's Mike Iwanisco in a 6 and 8.
Look at those cars. Look like they're glued together coming down the front straightaway.
Tucked under his back bumper, how close they run on a NASCAR Winston modified tour. Iwanisco has been working the high side of this racetrack. There he goes to the outside of Hirschman. Ever since he made that tire change, he's been hooked up on the high side of this racetrack. He gets by Hirschman for 3rd. And David, if that's the groove he's found on this track, he may be able to go all the way to the point.
Keep in mind, Mike Iwanisco has fresher tires than the first 2 running cars. He may be able to squeak by them.
Time is running out for the Long Island driver. He's just dirt tracking the 69 out of turn 4 in an effort to try to close this gap. Meanwhile, Tom Bowles in the 76 continues to try to work the low line on Doug Hebron, your leader down the back straightaway. We've neglected to mention this. Hebron's been running a variety of different rides in the last 5 years on the NASCAR Modified Tour, but he had to pick up a victory in tour racing. He's won a few big shows up at Oswego in the Modifieds, but they weren't NASCAR Winston Modified Tour events.
Iwanisco finally catching the back end of Tom Bowles going down the back straightaway.
It's a great battle for 2nd place, and incredibly, I just can't believe that Mike Iwanisco had made that pit stop and is able to move all the way up through the field. Here he goes into turns 1 and 2, and now both Bowles and Iwanisco are closing up on your leader, Doug Hebron, down the back straightaway. It's an intense battle for the lead, and let's not forget Tony Hirschman. He's right in here running 4th.
Oh, look out, Bowles, sideways.
Oh, what a
look! Iwanisco out of the line.
Iwanisco up into the marbles. Tom Bowles getting the car sideways, slowing down the collector machine up, and then Iwanisco directly behind him, putting on the brakes, sliding up high into that loose marbles up in there. He's lost the positions, and that's just disastrous for such a hard charge for that young man out there in the 69.
What an unfortunate situation. Mike Iwanisco lost 4 positions on that move coming out of turn 4. That guy really has to be disappointed.
Not only that, that has been a blessing in disguise for Doug Hebron. Look at the distance he's been able to separate himself from Tom Bowles after that miscue in turns 3 and 4. Hebron high flying, would love to see a checker flag here in the Giant Eagle 150. He's been waiting for 5 years, and we're getting down to it. Hebron, at this point in time, probably can hear every little squeak and possible noise that car's making, hoping that the Len Bowler machine will stay together this time around. Here it is. He picks up the checker. It's Liverpool, New York's Doug Hebron winning the Giant Eagle 150.
We'll be back with Victory Lane right after this.
You want a camcorder, right? But so compact that it fits in your hand? Well, here it is, the new Panasonic Palmcorder. Small and lightweight, but has the same quality and features as the bigger cameras. Check it out. 6:1 power zoom, automatic focusing, 4 lux light sensitivity, flying erase head, high-speed shutter, plus lots more. And the Panasonic Palmcorder can record up to 1 hour and 30 minutes on a compact VHS cassette that you can play in any of the 60 million VHS VCRs in the country. See this and many other quality camcorders at East Hills TV and Appliance, Scalp Avenue, Johnstown.
Interstate 88. You won't find it on the map, but thousands travel it every day. It's the well-deserved nickname for Oldsmobile's 88 Royale. Always at home on the highway with full-size room for 6, plenty of passing power, and a smooth ride that makes the most out of every mile. Factory-to-dealer incentives have already made good deals possible. Now, you also get a $1,000 U.S. savings bond or $500 factory cash back on 88. Take a test drive down Interstate 88 today at your Super Grand Olds Gang dealer.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline motor oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline motor oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
Welcome back to Jennerstown. Doug Heverin in victory lane at the Giant Eagle 150 for the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour. His first win on the tour in 5 years. Coming up in second place is Tom Bowles. Tony Hirschman finishing in third. Current points leader Jamie the Jet Tomeno with a fine fourth place finish. And heading off to his honeymoon very shortly, finishing in fifth, is Mike Iwanitsko.
Point leader Jamie Tomeno finishing fourth after starting 18th. 18 cars finishing, 6 cars on the lead lap, 4 cautions for 20 laps. What an exciting event, race fans.
Thanks for joining us. We'd like to remind